Hi, my name is Marietje Schaake. I'm a member of the European Parliament for the Dutch Democratic Party D66 and the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe. I sit on the Foreign Affairs and International Trade Committee, as well as on the Committee on Culture, Youth and Sports. And the impact of the internet and new technologies on our societies and the EU's external policies is central to my work as a parliamentarian. I'm really sorry I cannot join you today in Beirut for the Mederat platform of exchange, but I have to be here in Strasbourg, where the European Parliament has its monthly plenary session. And of course also here, the unfolding situation in Gaza is on all of our minds, as well as the ongoing crisis in Syria and the impact of all these events on the broader Middle East. While the use of violence and headline-grabbing statements by officials can easily render us dispirited, it is especially in these difficult times we should focus on people-to-people contact and look for what unites us instead of enlarging differences. And cultural exchanges can be one of those common grounds. Events in the Arab world and the Middle East unfolding over the past 2 years have shown that there is an intrinsic universal aspiration for recognition, fulfillment of freedom in people's hearts and minds, and an idea that could perhaps be labeled as dignity. This can be experienced either as an individual, a private feeling, but it can also be projected on societies as a whole. Dignity is a more subjective concept than, for example, universal human rights, and therefore it may mean a different thing to different people. Also in countries that have a longer tradition of liberal democracies. In any case, dignity is strongly tied to self-determination, giving people the most opportunity to freely live life, to seek economic, social or cultural development. Freedom and human rights are, of course, essential for all these people to live in freedom and in dignity. Cultural and creative expression enrich people's lives. A short glance at the cultural treasures of the Middle East, from the souks in Aleppo to the treasury of Petra or the old Persian writings, the Levant is an area with an unrivaled cultural heritage. We would love to see similarly great expressions in the future. Today, the European Union also is known for its cultural diversity, but we are also a community of values, rights and freedoms that apply equally to all of our citizens. Are these often called European values inextricably linked to our European culture, or is there a universality to them that has the concept of dignity in it as a central theme? Through cultural exchanges and the notion of reciprocity and mutual understanding between regions and people, we can facilitate this understanding and support it in organic and spiritual ways. In that sense, artists are as much ambassadors of a country or a people as are professional career diplomats. Through the sharing of literature, film, music and heritage, doors of understanding are opened and bridges between people can be built. Even more so when artists from different countries and cultures meet and inspire each other. European identity in all of its diversity, as well as European values, are manifested through various cultural expressions. Additionally, the EU has important experiences to share when it comes to overcoming conflict and building stability through shared interests. To concretely facilitate cultural exchanges, last year the European Parliament adopted a report I wrote. A report that streamlines cultural diplomacy and culture in the external actions of the European Union. In this report, we highlighted the value of culture in all its aspects, impacting the EU's external actions, from international trade to enlargement and, very importantly, neighbourhood policy, as well as development cooperation and the EU's common foreign and security policy. In all of these areas, culture can be a vehicle that helps fostering democratization, freedom of expression, promotes inclusion, drives development, enriches education, and can forge reconciliation in countries post-conflict. At the same time, it can have an economic value, driving entrepreneurship, innovation, and business. Especially in our globally, digitally connected world, technologies and the internet can be catalysts of economic activity as well as creativity. But cultural exchanges work in two ways. Reciprocity and, more practically, mobility is key. So I've asked the European Commission to establish cultural visas to make it easier for artists to come to the EU and to share their work, to work together to create networks. In this way, it should become much easier for artists in Europe, the Mediterranean and Arab countries, as well as the rest of the world, to build new networks, to inspire each other and to learn from each other. And encouragingly, the European Union has opened up the famous Erasmus program for Syrians and for people from the broader Mediterranean area. Cultural diplomacy is a cornerstone for building trust and long-lasting relations with citizens in countries around the world. And culture should be a more vital and horizontally integrated element among the broad spectrum of external policies which make up the EU's foreign policy. And more of such networks are digital hubs of creativity and interaction. The opportunities to connect different parts of the world around cultural goods and content should be celebrated and facilitated. Contact between people, online or offline, fosters exchanges of best practices and knowledge and develops people's international skills, which are more and more important in a globalized world, for example, to get a job. That is why the EU, but also myself as a parliamentarian, feel the responsibility to ensure that new avenues for cultural exchanges are being built and are kept open. Mobility of people from the northern to the southern shores of the Mediterranean is just as important as protecting the free flow of ideas online. Internet censorship cannot become a 21st century equivalent of traditional borders. Connectivity and mobility are concepts that are intertwined. They are the facilitators of cultural exchange and basic human interaction. It is my solid conviction to work and fight for these facilities every day, and I hope you will join me. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you either by email or online via social media such as Twitter or Facebook.